Okay, so I haven't talked about this in a really long time. This happened to me when I was about 10 or 11. My dad bought us a Scooby-Doo VHS tape of an episode that I can't really recall. All I can remember was that it was about a little girl's ghost haunting the whole town. Our parents don't go out very much since my brother suffers from asthma, and they were very protective of him, but one night they had a really important party thing and decided to call a babysitter. I remember getting upset and telling them that I was too old for a babysitter and that I was old enough to take care of my brother, but they didn't listen. They left us with this freckly 15-year-old neighbor girl named Amanda or something. Before leaving, their dad gives us a tape, which got us pretty excited, as it would be the first time Dad lets us use the VHS player. After we left, they all noticed that the tape was kind of weird. The art on the cover looked very weird, handmade somehow. Scooby looked really terrifying, and the ghost girl was looking really creepy. Remember Amanda calling my dad a weirdo for buying such a thing for us, but I assumed that he just picked up the first tape he saw. I also remember that Amanda didn't want to play the tape, but after me and my brother insisted for almost an hour, we finally sat down in front of the TV to watch the episode. Now, the episode itself was kind of boring. There were almost no jokes that wasn't that scary. I remember being surprised that the ghost girl at the corner didn't look all the one in the video. I didn't really remember the plot of the episode. I guess it was pretty much as usual, and Amanda would repeat stupid show every 5 times. Now, close to the end, they got close to the ghost where they were about to unmask her when something weird happened. All of a sudden, Scooby and the gang then stopped talking and looked at the camera with really sad and serious looks on their faces. They stared at us for a really long time in silence, and even the background music had stopped. The only music not looking at us was the ghost girl, but suddenly lifted her head and stared at the camera with her terrible eyes wide open. The final cuts abruptly after that, and we all stared at the TV without saying a word until the tape finally stopped. We were shocked. My brother looked at us sad and said something like, "Crap, I can't believe Shaggy died. This is so messed up." We both looked at him confused, and Amanda asked me what I was talking about. He insisted that it was just stupid to kill off a character and then bring him back to life in the next episode. She got really nervous and told him that Shaggy didn't get killed and the ghost girl disappeared right after they caught her, and the episode finished with the whole gang being scared to death. Nothing made any sense. I couldn't understand a thing. When I told them about I saw Amanda freaked out, she then said at least 10 times that it wasn't funny and left her house. Pissed off and I assumed scared to her bones as we were. After discussing about the tape for a half an hour, we decided to put the tape and watch it again. We turned on the lights and pushed rewind, and the first thing we got to the part was when they got the girl. The episode then suddenly ends and nothing happens. When they get the girl, there is no unmasking, no killing, and no staring. It just ends there. We then stopped the tape and ran to our room. My brother had an asthma attack and I stayed by his bed crying and praying that he wouldn't die. Eventually, we fell asleep. The next morning, my brother started acting like nothing happened, insisting for about a good 2 days, and told me never wanted to talk about it again. That was it. Damn, I think I actually never told anyone about this, but it feels so good to share it. And then a skeleton popped out. And that, my little pretties, was Scooby-Doo Ghost Girl, a Scooby-Doo Lost Episode creepypasta written by Simpson. Now, my final thoughts on the story? Well, it's actually been since 2019 that I actually sat there and narrated this story. This is actually a really good, Scooby-Doo creepypasta. In my sense, I actually remembered, hearing this on a narration a few times, one of them being, Shadow Reader's channel, and then a bunch of other channels that have narrated this. I actually found this story to be actually one of the good, fewer lost episode pastas that did pretty good. Now, I know Simpson wrote pretty good stories, and this is actually one of them. It got deleted off the Creepypasta Wiki for some unknown reason. I don't know why, but for some reason, I actually found this on the Goshia Wiki. Somebody archived Simpson's story and put it on there, which I have to say I'm really glad that they, archived this story because it's a really good story. I really liked how this went out, and it's just really amazing when I saw this. Now, this is actually a pretty good story when I actually looked this story up. I had to look it up because I couldn't actually remember this story. I couldn't remember, sitting there, narrating this. Well, I just remembered narrating it just now, but I remembered I wanted to re-narrate this story because this was actually a pretty well-made story. So I'm definitely going to say this story actually did pretty good. Well, one thing I could definitely say was really good was that this story barely had any cliches. Basically, these two kids, are sitting there watching the Scooby Doo episode, and then they realized something weird was going on. But unfortunately, with that being the case, they had no idea why Shaggy died or something like that when they reviewed the footage. But then when they do it the second time, none of that happens. So that's actually pretty interesting. And, I could definitely say, this is actually one of the fewer episodes that actually had a lot of time and effort into it when it came to, using cliches. Now, I know this was written, back before cliches were overused, but I could definitely say this one was actually pretty well made and detailed. When I first saw this episode, on a bunch of other channels, I actually remembered, sitting there and actually looking at this story, and I have to say, this was actually not a bad story. I've seen some other Scooby-Doo movies that did, episodes, and even lost episode movie pastas, the ones I've done, and, I was trying to look for some good Scooby-Doo stories, and I couldn't really seem to find any good ones, because, yeah. But for some reason, I actually found this story to be rather enjoyable and well made in detail. I actually enjoyed how the pasta and of its own self was actually pretty good. So it was actually pretty well made and detailed. So I definitely have to say, I really love how this story went out. The grammar of this is really good. So that I definitely have to say I really like the good grammar in this story. Like, the grammar of this is actually pretty good. So, with that being the case, I kind of remember narrating this story, and it's just about time that I sat there and actually narrated this again. It's actually pretty well made in detail. And funny enough that I actually seen some other people sitting there and, narrated this story. I don't know if Crispy Pasta's narrated this yet. I don't think he has, but I really hope he does soon, because this one was really well made. Now, if I had to say one thing that I wasn't really that crazy on was, it's not really a big issue per se, but it's, ends with the skeleton pop out. Like, the skeleton popping out of what? I didn't really think that was really necessary to put it there unless, it was part of the episode or something. But why or where would the skeleton pop out of is, my question. That's honestly my question that I have to say. That's not really, it doesn't bring the story or kill it immediately. It's just, I just don't know why a skeleton would be there in the first place. That, I'm just not trying to bash the author or the story. I'm just saying, the skeleton needing to be there, I just wasn't really a fan of that one. So that's actually one of the reasons why I actually, didn't really care for this story too much. But I'm not really saying that, it's a bad story. No, it's just the fact that, it's just a little all over the place is my question. But I'm just gonna with the skeleton being at the end, it just didn't really, I wasn't really crazy on that. But the rest of the story was really well made. That I could definitely say was really good. So, with that being the case, I'm gonna sit there and, say this right now, and I always continue to say, this is a short review. It's not really a long review because, I could go on, basically the whole thing of, the whole thing and breaking it all down, but that would take, a little bit longer to do. But I definitely have to say, I remember watching Scooby-Doo when I was a kid. I still like it to this very day. I'm not that big on the newer Scooby-Doo stuff. Some of it is decent and alright, but the older ones were my favorite. So, that's definitely something I'm promising you all. So, with that being the case, this is simply my own, I'm always gonna say, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these, creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story is gonna be a 9 out of 10. Only giving it a 9 because the whole story was really good and well made, but the thing that I really wasn't crazy on was the skeleton popping out of nowhere, and it didn't really need to be necessary for the ending. I'm not trying to sound rude or anything. That's just all I have to say. But other than that, the story was actually pretty good, and I definitely have to say there's a lot of time and effort into the story itself. So, with that being the case, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out of here. And with that being the case, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, everyone. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.